3, 2, 1, test. Hello, and welcome to this presentation on creating and hosting web services. My name is Mike Simpson, and I will be your instructor for this presentation. Java's Enterprise Edition development platform has evolved to integrate web services. Web services are now one of the many service delivery channels of the J2EE platform, and existing J2EE components may be easily exposed as web services. The J2EE platform makes many benefits available to web services, including portability, scalability, reliability, and no single vendor lock-in. J2EE containers provide transaction support, database connections, lifecycle management, and other services that are scalable and require no code from application developers. The J2EE platform provides comprehensive support through web services through the JAX RPC application programming interface, which may be used to develop service endpoints based upon the Simple Object Application Protocol. The JAX Remote Procedure Call 1.1 API provides interoperability with web services based upon the Web Services Description Language, or WSDL, and the Simple Object Access Protocol, or SOAP. The J2EE platform also supports JSR 109, which builds upon JAX RPC and focuses upon the programming model for implementing web services, as well as deploying web services in the J2EE 1.4 platform. J2EE also supports the WS-I basic profile. This support ensures that web services, which are developed using the J2EE platform, will be portable not only across J2EE implementations, but they will also be interoperable with any web service that is developed using any platform that conforms to the WS-I standards. A developer usually needs extensive knowledge of XML-based standards and protocols, such as WSDL and SOAP, as well as a fair amount of programming experience in order to develop web services. However, the J2EE platform makes web services development seamless because you don't really have to know very much about WSDL and SOAP in order to develop such platforms. The J2EE platform manages to hide most of the WSDL and SOAP mapping from you because the mapping between the Java language and such XML-based standards such as WSDL and SOAP is handled by the Web Service Runtime System. And this frees you as a developer from these low-level programming details. So in this presentation, we're going to talk about some of the different scenarios that caused rise to host web services. We'll talk about some of the different service descriptions that occur. We'll talk about the mechanisms for building web services and building web service to clients. We'll discuss the publishing of web services and talk about how web services are discovered, describe the web service development process, and then leave you with an exercise where you'll go about practicing the concepts of creating and hosting web services. Hosting a web service involves defining information to be made available over the web as a part of a loosely coupled service-oriented architecture, or SOA, then defining the outside interface to the world using the Web Services Description Language, or WSDL, and then creating that implementation on the machine. The nice thing about defining the language-independent specification using WSDL is that when we code the actual implementation in Java, that's completely hidden from those people that use our service. So we can write our service in Java. Someone else could be writing a web service using another language, such as Visual Basic or C++ or some other language, and that's completely hidden from them or from us. We are going to be concentrating, of course, in this presentation on creating our web service using Java, but the underlying implementation language for web service could just as easily be C++ or a .NET compliant language such as Visual Basic .NET or C#. The beauty of web services is that we don't have to know what the underlying implementation language is. We simply invoke and consume or use the web service over the web without regard to its underlying language. Of course, when we create the implementation on the machine, since we're going to be doing it in Java, we're going to create a Java archive file or a jar file. When you create the implementation on a machine in a different language, you have to create it in an appropriate specification for that particular language. Now, when information is transferred back and forth over the web services, it's going to be done using SOAP. And of course, SOAP is a specification for performing our appropriate business method requests as XML documents. And SOAP can support a variety of lower level protocols such as HTTP, HTTPS, or SMTP. We of course use XML because of its programming language neutrality, because of its extensibility. We can extend XML to provide lots of domain-specific additions, and XML has massive industry support. We use HTTP to transport the SOAP information because any internet-enabled system can communicate over a socket. HTTP is a simple protocol that can interoperate with any internet-enabled system, and HTTP can navigate through firewalls using port 80, which is typically accessible. The power behind SOAP lies in its simplicity. It's a lightweight and easy to understand technology, and it's easy to implement. You're basically taking XML formatted data and passing it over an HTTP port. It has industry momentum, and it has buy-in from all the major e-business platform vendors. So SOAP is going to be encoding our business requests, our function calls, and our function returns for transport over HTTP. That's SOAP in a nutshell. So if we're going to be creating a service, it's going to be typically set up as some sort of a SOAP-based service interface for our exposed business applications. We're going to write that service description in Web Services Description Language, or WSDL, and that will help to define what our clients are going to be and the integration between that and our appropriate service container. The service descriptions will help provide some sort of consistent mechanism of identifying where our services are going to be, the operations that the services are going to provide, and an appropriate communications model for that service. The provider, once they've set up the web service, they'll then deploy them in some sort of a service container, some piece of software that will generally provide other transport services and other resources that the service needs. The provider may also set them up in some sort of a SOAP runtime environment, and then the provider will make these services available to be invoked over a network. Now, once we have the service description set up in our WSDL description, we're going to have to transform them into, in our case,